For years, Japan worked hard to make Muslim visitors feel welcome. The message was clear. Come visit, spend your money, you're welcome here. But being a visitor and being a neighbor are not the same thing. Japan's Muslim population has grown rapidly in recent years, and so have the debates over mosques, burial plots, immigration, and what it means to belong. I'm Jeff Richards. This week on Japan Today Spotlight, a new question is emerging as Japan changes, and that is, what happens when those visitors become your neighbors? Japan has had a Muslim community for decades. It just wasn't very big. In the 1980s and 90s, a small number of Muslims came to Japan during the bubble economy, mostly from Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Iran, drawn by factory work and the promise of those Japanese wages. They were few enough that most Japanese people never really encountered them. That's changed. Just last year, between January and November, Japan welcomed about 560,000 visitors from Indonesia, 540,000 from Malaysia, and 240,000 from the Middle East. All of these primarily Muslim-majority countries, according to the Japan National Tourism Organization. For years, Japan's approach to its Muslim visitors was straightforward. Make them comfortable, make them spend. And it worked. To serve them, Japan invested in infrastructure. Prayer rooms went in at Haneda's International Terminal, at JR Tokyo and Osaka stations, at shopping malls and tourist hubs in Kyoto and Nara. At last year's World Expo in Osaka, a dedicated prayer space was set up near the center of the venue. Haneda's Terminal 3 prayer room alone now sees close to 2,000 users a month. A Tokyo-based company called Yasu Project built what it calls a mobile mosque, a 25-ton Hino truck that expands at the push of a button into a 48-square-meter prayer room for up to 50 people, complete with air conditioning and washing facilities. It's been deployed at the Tokyo Olympics, the World Cup in Russia, and international events across Asia and Europe. It's a remarkable thing. Japan found a way to engineer Islamic prayer space onto a truck. In February, a series of fires broke out in Ebetsu, Hokkaido, at a mosque and Pakistani-run businesses in the same neighborhood. 3 fires suspected arson. 3 targets linked to the same Muslim community. 1 person broke a leg escaping the flames. A local survey found 76 unpermitted structures in the neighborhood where the fires broke out. The overwhelming majority were owned by Japanese residents, not by the Pakistani community that was targeted. A suspect is now in custody. But for many of the roughly 700 Muslims living in Ebetsu, an arrest does not erase the fear, and they're not alone. Over the past year, mosques across Japan have been hit with a wave of abusive phone calls and emails. In Osaka, a video went viral claiming that Arabic prayer announcements were being broadcast at top volume from a local mosque at 4 in the morning. The mosque's representative investigated immediately. His conclusion? The video was fake. The buildings shown weren't even in Japan. Osaka city officials conducted multiple unannounced inspections after the video circulated. They found no evidence of anything shown in the footage. It didn't matter. The video spread anyway. Comment sections filled up with posts calling mosques a nuisance and demanding that they be removed. Japan Today reports that mosque leader in northern Kanto, who asked to be identified only as Ali, described the atmosphere in his community. The harassment started all of a sudden, as if it had just exploded out of nowhere. Since last year, Ali says he's been receiving 5 to 10 abusive calls and emails every day. Messages like, go back to your country. Japan does not need mosques. Over the years, his community worked through early conflicts with neighbors, disputes over street parking, noise, unfamiliar customs. They collaborated with local authorities and the police. They set up programs to teach new immigrants about Japanese garbage collection rules, about the pension system, about how to be a good neighbor. We have always strived to ensure that the mosque serves as a bridge with the local community. That bridge, he says, is now under strain. A Pakistani university student who prays at Ali's mosque put it quite plainly. People who don't know each other are causing a commotion on social media, he said. Why is this happening when my friends are so understanding of my faith? A Japanese man of Pakistani descent in his 30s said he's worried the hostility could escalate into violence. And in several cities, plans to build mosques have triggered public protests that turned ugly. In Fujisawa, in Kanagawa Prefecture, a Sri Lankan businessman named Mohammed Khalil had spent more than a decade trying to build a mosque on the site of an abandoned factory. His group followed every rule. They consulted with the community. They applied for permits. They got them. Then in late 2025, a conservative YouTuber named Susumu Kikutake entered a local election race with a single campaign promise. His poster said simply, "I am against the mosque." A public meeting in February drew around 200 residents who jeered and shouted down members of the Mosque Association. Kikutake finished third in the February 8 election. Not every tension in this story is about prejudice. Some of it is about the law. In the Shimo Akasaka district of Kawagoe City in Saitama Prefecture, a large white dome mosque now stands in open countryside, surrounded by fields and wooded areas. It's called Japan Jami Masjid Ramzan. It sits on a 4,500 square meter plot, and it was built entirely without permits. No application was ever filed. No approval was ever sought. The land is classified as an urbanization control zone under Japan's City Planning Act, an area where construction is tightly restricted. On April 3rd of this year, it held an opening ceremony. Pakistan's ambassador to Japan, Abdul Hamid, attended after being told by organizers that all necessary permits had been granted. Mayor Hatsue Morita said the city could not accept the current situation. Her administration was working to resolve it as quickly as possible. The city's Development Guidance Division was direct about what this was. "We are not making an issue out of this because it is a mosque," a spokesperson said. "We issue corrective guidance for any illegal structure." Kawagoe City issued a demolition order. On May 31st, the Pakistani embassy issued a statement distancing itself from the project entirely and urging Pakistani nationals across Japan to comply with local laws before beginning any construction. No construction project may be initiated, the statement read, without obtaining the necessary permits from local governments. The law applies to everyone equally, and Kawagoe City made that point explicitly. The Pakistani embassy agreed. For Muslims, burial is not a preference. It's a religious obligation. Islamic tradition requires that the dead be buried in the ground facing Mecca as soon as possible after death. Cremation is forbidden. In Japan, that's a problem. Japan has one of the highest cremation rates in the world. More than 99% of its dead are cremated. Ground burial plots are rare, tightly regulated, and in many communities, actively opposed. Khan came to Japan from Pakistan in 2001 to pursue a PhD at Kyushu University. He fell in love with the country, took Japanese citizenship, and built a life here. Japan is my second motherland, he says. The Japanese are a very kind and honest people. But when the subject of burial comes up, something changes. In his own backyard, in Hiji Town, Oita Prefecture, a local Islamic association spent years trying to establish a Muslim cemetery. They negotiated with the town, they agreed on a site on municipal land. They capped the number of plots. They defined clearly who could be buried there. They conducted groundwater testing and put environmental safeguards in place. Residents in neighboring areas raised concerns about water contamination. Opposition grew. The issue went to the ballot box. In the 2024 mayoral election, a candidate running explicitly against the cemetery defeated the incumbent by a wide margin. The new mayor, Tetsuya Abe, took office and refused to proceed with the municipal land sale. The cemetery project is now effectively dead. A similar outcome unfolded in Sakuragawa City in Ibaraki Prefecture. There, a Buddhist-affiliated religious organization had applied to develop a burial site for Muslim use. After local opposition, including complaints that residents hadn't been adequately consulted, the organization withdrew its application in early 2024. Khan says he'll keep engaging with local authorities in Hiji, but he's clear-eyed about the outlook. Japan's government has taken notice. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism has surveyed municipal governments on the burial issue. But a survey is not a solution. For Khan, a Japanese citizen, a university professor, and a Muslim, the question remains unanswered. When he dies, where will he go? Islamic scholars themselves do not always agree on these questions. Some argue that when burial is genuinely unavailable, necessity can alter what's permitted. Others disagree. Those debates are already taking place within Muslim communities around the world. According to Hirofumi Tanada, a professor emeritus at Waseda University who has spent years tracking this population, Japan now has roughly 420,000 Muslims, up from about 110,000 in 2010. The largest group by far is Indonesian, about 200,000 people. Then Bangladeshis at roughly 35,000, Pakistanis at around 30,000. Malaysians and Turks make up smaller but significant numbers. Most came for work through technical intern programs, skilled labor visas, and the various pathways that Japan had expanded as labor shortages grew. Industries from elderly care to construction to agriculture to logistics are running short of workers. Deaths are outpacing births by a widening margin. 45 of Japan's 47 prefectures shrank. Only Tokyo and Okinawa grew. The Japan International Cooperation Agency estimated in 2024 that Japan will be short 770,000 workers out of the 4.19 million it's going to need by 2030. Japan's government has responded by expanding the Specified Skilled Worker Visa Program, opening new pathways for foreign labor in 19 industrial fields, with a cap of over 800,000 workers planned through fiscal 2026. Yasuo Takao, an adjunct senior research fellow at Curtin University, put it plainly in a May 2026 analysis for the East Asia Forum. Japan, he wrote, is opening its labor market while narrowing the symbolic boundaries of belonging. The country may need foreign workers, he observed, but it doesn't want to think of itself as an immigration nation. That tension has a history in Japan. A decade ago, public debates often centered on Korean residents. More recently, attention shifted to Kurdish communities in Kawagoe. Today, Muslim communities are increasingly finding themselves under the same spotlight. Japan's government under Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi has acknowledged the problem. A new cabinet post was created specifically to foster coexistence between Japanese citizens and foreign nationals. It's a ministry that has attracted significant criticism since its creation. The economy needs foreign workers. The Muslim community is now large enough that these questions can no longer be easily ignored. But integration is a two-way street. Japan has real obligations. Harassment is wrong. Misinformation is wrong. Muslim communities face difficult questions as well. Japan is a small island nation with finite land. It cremates its dead because that's the physical and cultural reality of the country. None of the Muslims quoted in this story are asking Japan to become a Muslim country. They're asking to be seen as part of the one that they already live in. That's where the conversation has to start. Japan spent years preparing for Muslim visitors. It's still deciding what it means to live alongside Muslim neighbors. And those people haven't fully reckoned with what it means to build a life inside someone else's country and culture. And that includes myself and many of the 3.2 million others. It needs to be done on Japan's terms. And as the country's demographic challenges deepen, that's a question it may not be able to avoid much longer. From the Japan Today newsroom here in Tokyo, I'm Jeff Richards. See you next time.